Here are some of the stories coming up in our 9 o'clock hour.
An acid cloud over parts of El Cajon last night. Coming up in the next hour, we'll update you on that situation with a live report.
NBC 7.
39.
News This Weekend with Mark Walton and Deborah Takahara. Coverage you can count on.
Cleanup is underway this morning in El Cajon after an overnight acid spill in an industrial complex.
A tank ruptured and a cloud of gas was released. Corey Houston is live in El Cajon this morning with the latest on the cleanup efforts. Hi, Corey.
Well, Deborah and Mark, good morning. Yeah, hazmat team members still have a leak on their hands. However, thanks to a San Diego man, it is no longer a dangerous situation out here for people in the area. This man came along with a foam. You can see it on the ground over here to my right. It looks a lot like snow. Hazmat members had never seen this product before, and when they sprayed it on the leak, it capped off the leak and smothered dangerous vapors. Well, before this foam was sprayed, it was touch and go last night. A visible cloud of hydrochloric acid hovered overhead. Firefighters told residents to stay indoors, and they shut down Highway 8. If exposed to the acid, it can cause a burning sensation to skin and eyes. Now, when Jim Bronner saw reports of the leak in the 11 o'clock news, he came out here and offered his foam as a solution, and it worked immediately. We talked with him this morning.
Oh, I feel great. I feel like it validated a long-time theory I had that it would work in hazardous spills.
Now, firefighters say they will definitely consider using this foam again in future hazardous material situations. In the meantime, this is the third leak at the U.S. Filter Company since 1990. It is up to the county health department to decide if any kind of action will be taken. Mark and Deborah, back to you.
That's simply amazing that this guy came up with this foam idea and this all came out, and now potentially, I guess he could have a contract with them, couldn't he?
Yeah, isn't that great? And as he said, it was a theory of his. It has been used in the past to fight firefighters and also on movie sets as snow, and it really does look like snow.
Thanks, Corey Houston, for that live report from El Cajon.
Plus, an acid spill closes part of Interstate 8 and shuts down a section of the El Cajon trolley.
All those stories and more next on 10 News Weekend.
Now, news that hits home every day with the 10 News team. Leonard Villarreal, Leanne Kim, Leon Smitherman's weather, and David Lloyd with sports. This is 10 News Weekend.
An acid spill that closed off an El Cajon neighborhood for several hours last night is finally cleaned up. But as Eileen Brennan reports, this isn't the first time there's been a spill at the spot.
Fire crews cleaned up the last of an acid spill at the U.S. Filters plant this morning. The spill happened about 7 o'clock last night. It created a cloud of hydrochloric acid that drifted over the surrounding neighborhood.
Some of us got nauseous.
Police kept neighbors inside and shut down nearby trolley tracks in Interstate 8. While firefighters tried to soak up the 1,000-gallon spill, chemist Jim Bronner saw it all on TV and called to offer help. He thought a foam he'd invented might work.
I came down here and they were happy to see me. We did a few initial tests out front here, and indeed it did suppress the film.
This is the third spill at this same plant in 6 years. The last one was in March of 1996. This time the plant could be cited.
When we complete the investigation, we'll determine what the course of action will be taken.
This street is just 2 blocks south of the U.S. Filters plant. Now, when the spill happened last night, people who live here say it became painfully obvious that they needed to stay indoors.
You can see smoke and fire all night. Looked like it burned for quite a while. I just stayed inside, kind of rough throat.
This morning, the neighborhood was back to normal. Just about the only evidence left of the spill was the still quiet trolley tracks.
What's the deal?
Buses still shuttled passengers to the next stop this morning, a precaution firefighters wanted to take until the very last drop of acid was cleaned up. Eileen Brennan, 10 News, El Cajon.
The trolley tracks opened again late this morning. Now, as for the leak, investigators say it looks like a tank holding the acid was fractured.
You're watching San Diego's #1 source for news. Right here, right now. This is News 8 at 5.
A scary sight in El Cajon last night. A toxic cloud hovered over part of the city after a chemical spill at a water purification plant.
The hazmat team worked through the night to stop the fumes from spreading. Neighbors were warned to stay inside. It all happened along Main Street at El Cajon Boulevard near Interstate 8. News 8's Ted Garcia here now with an update. Ted?
Yeah, we were out there for a couple of hours last night, and believe me, you could really feel it out there. You know, they're breathing a sigh of relief and some fresh air in El Cajon this evening. The problem started at the U.S. Filter Water Purification Plant that's on Front Street. A leak in a pipe sent a hydrochloric acid vapor cloud into the air and over some nearby neighborhoods. Today, the cleanup after a long night. No, it wasn't a drill. Last night, dozens of firefighters and police officers blanketed a half-mile area in El Cajon, warning residents to stay inside, close their doors and windows, and turn off their air conditioners.
Ma'am, as long as you stay inside and keep the air conditioner and stuff on, you should be all right. The fire department just...
Oh, okay. It made me think of a gas, that there was something that you obviously shouldn't breathe.
The problem was this, a hydrochloric acid cloud floating through the air. It was coming from the U.S. filter plant, where they had a spill of about 1,000 gallons of hydrochloric acid around 7 o'clock. Throughout the night, the cloud kept changing directions and even forced the closure of Interstate 8 in both directions for a short time. But it didn't get as bad as it could have.
Luckily, we had the wind in our favor most of the time, where we were able to stay upwind. The initial entry teams all went in with basic level A protection, fully encapsulated suit with self-contained breathing apparatus.
Today, no sign of that toxic cloud, just foam all over the place. Turns out a guy watching the news called firefighters and said he had some foam that he thought could help.
So he came down, we did some tests on it, and it worked great. It gave us a real good blanket, sealed off the acid, and stopped the fuming. So.
This isn't the first time this business has been through this. 1 year ago this month, the same thing happened. A hydrochloric acid spill and a toxic cloud. But just like last night, no one was evacuated, and the spill was quickly contained. Now, Hazmat used what's called a suck truck to pump out the spilled acid this afternoon. The big question last night was, what can the fumes do to you? Well, we're told they're an irritant. They can cause eye and throat irritations. For a while, they thought about evacuating people who live nearby, but the cloud kept dissipating, fortunately.
You were out there. Did you feel ill at all?
For a while, we were kind of under. We were under the cloud. It was pretty high up in the air, but you could kind of feel it in your eyes and in the back of your throat, the people that were out there.
And if you have any doubts at all, go see a doctor.
Exactly.
Thanks, Ted.
Okay.
A search for answers. Hello, I'm Lauren Krause. Coming up on NBC 7 39 News at 6, tonight some East County residents want to know why hazardous chemical spills continue to happen in their neighborhood. Plus, what investigators plan to do about this. We'll have a live report. Coming up next on NBC 7 39 News at 6, a hazardous chemical spill in El Cajon, and this isn't the first time. Tonight, residents want to know why this keeps happening.
NBC 7
39
News at 6 Weekend Edition with Vic Salazar, Lauren Krause, Jim Stone Sports, and Whitney Southwick Weather. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, tonight, East County residents want some answers. They want to know why there continues to be acid spills from a chemical company in El Cajon. There have been 3 spills in the past few years. The most recent happened last night right before 7 o'clock at an industrial park just off Hill Street. Jack Gates joins us there now with the latest. Jack?
Well, tonight things are starting to return to normal for the U.S. Filter Corporation here in El Cajon, and things are also starting to return back to normal for many residents around here who last night were forced inside their homes and their streets were blocked off, all because of a big cloud of hydrochloric acid.
That was pretty bad last night. You could smell it from here. I didn't know what to think. You know, I was about ready to get my car and leave, but...
But instead, Mark Stroh and his daughter went inside their apartment, just like the police helicopter told residents to do.
They told us to go inside, close your door, close your windows, don't turn the air conditioner on.
The cloud of hydrochloric acid isn't the first one over U.S. Filter in El Cajon. This is the 3rd leak in 7 years. Most recently, last year at about this same time, there was a similar leak and cloud from a hydrochloric line here. Residents, like Mark Stroh, say it isn't safe.
I'm thinking about getting a hold of the El Cajon city officials and seeing what we can do about getting them to remove that stuff. You know, it's not good to have around, not with all these kids in this neighborhood.
Throughout the day, the cleanup continued here, and the hydrochloric acid was transferred to other airtight containers. And no, this isn't snow. A viewer who saw the spill story last night called the fire department. His company has developed a special foam used in fighting forest fires. The fire department used the foam to smother the acid fumes so things could be cleaned up easier.
Oh, I feel great. I feel like it validated a long-time theory I had that it would work in hazardous spills.
Kind of a foam hero. Now you see this sign on the front of the company. This site has been accident-free for 188 days. Well, they may have to change that now. No one from the company has been here today to talk about this spill or the safety concerns of residents. And meanwhile, the El Cajon Fire Department will meet with the company on Monday to try to figure out why all these leaks and spills keep happening here. Live from El Cajon, back to you, Lauren. Vic?
Jack, I know it may be a little bit too early, but do you know if this chemical company is going to be cited?
They may be. It would be up to the county health department. They are also investigating this whole incident. And as we heard from that resident, many residents around here also want some answers.
All right. Thanks very much. Jack Gates reporting live for us from El Cajon.
And now, from KUSI, San Diego's 24-hour news station, this is the KUSI News at 10 with Andrea Naverson, Steve Bosch, Dave Scott with weather, and Kurt Sandoval on sports.
That hydrochloric acid cloud that hovered over El Cajon last night is gone tonight. The hazard was eliminated thanks to the fire department and the quick thinking of an Escondido inventor. KUSI's Romeo Cantu has our story.
Shortly before 7 last night, a pipeline carrying hydraulic acid broke at an El Cajon business. The spill sent a huge toxic cloud over a 4-block area in the western part of town. Fire officials shut down Interstate 8 East, the trolley, and warned neighbors to stay inside. 3 hours after the accident, an Escondido man sitting back at home watching the event on TV decided to call the fire department. He told them he had an idea of how to contain the spill. His own invention, foam, designed to fight fires.
Primarily for protecting structures and trees during the time of forest fires, but it's gaining much more widespread use, and particularly municipal fire departments. And this is one use that I knew it would work on.
12 years ago, Jim Bronner invented this foam. He sold the idea to the Monsanto Wildfire Division. He now spends his time showing firefighters how it works, using his compressed air foam generator.
We actually attach this to the end of a fire hose. This is rather simple. The foam solution goes through the inside of these little holes in here. It's probably hard to see. And the high velocity draws air through the little holes and indeed through here. So you get a big 6-inch wide by about 8 feet long tube of foam.
After convincing the El Cajon Fire Department to use his foam, the hazmat crew went in and sprayed the stuff over the acid spill.
It was placed carefully through a hose screen, and it was laid on the acid so as to not disturb the surface area. But the foam flowed very well across the surface and suppressed the vapor cloud.
El Cajon Battalion Chief John Traylor says Bronner's foam worked like a charm.
It's kind of a universal foam when it comes to firefighting.
Bronner hopes that soon more firefighters will keep his foam in stock. In El Cajon, Romeo Cantu, KUSI News.
Fire investigators are still trying to figure out what caused the leak. The U.S. filter company where the leak occurred purifies water for industrial use.